For a couple minutes, wanted to go live and talk about narcissism, narcissistic abuse. If you guys are new here, my name is Ben Taylor. I'm a self-aware narcissist on this channel to provide awareness about narcissistic abuse, to be able to let people know what happened, what I did, how I showed up in like a negative and toxic way that mentally hurt and abused my wife for many years until she left. And inside this piece of awareness started opening up my eyes, started sharing on social media some of my truth, walking through what I had done. And inside of that piece, not only found redemption and transformation, but also started to provide tools and systems for people to be free from narcissistic abusers, just like how I used to be. So to catch you up to speed where we are now, we actually just had our second child and we're doing great. Our marriage is put back online. Our life has been back on track. And what I do now on a day-to-day basis is I'm a coach working to help actually break people free from toxic relationships and help them actually heal fully. This means we have to help you actually break the trauma bond. We have to actually help you deal with the triggers, the reactive abuse, all the emotions, all the feelings that oftentimes can control you for such a long period of time. So inside today, I'm just going to be jumping in here and just answering a bunch of questions. So when you pop on here and you're like, okay, what should I ask? Just drop anything and everything down in the chat. Keep it clean, keep it nice, but we want to be able to answer questions about what you're dealing with inside of narcissistic abuse and how to actually be free. Because if you don't actually rewire your mindset, your thought process, you will continue to be stuck for a long period of time. We see this happen over and over and over where people get stuck long term. And when they're stuck long term, they're not able to actually do anything because they're so confused, they're so lost in the fog of narcissistic abuse. Like they literally have brain fog. They can't remember certain things, they feel depressed. There's so many different aspects that are happening when you're in a toxic relationship, you get stuck. And the main thing inside of a narcissistic relationship that keeps you stuck is simply your own confusion. If you don't get clarity about the situation, if you don't understand what he's actually doing, what's actually going on, it makes it really hard for you to do anything at all. So while you're jumping in on this live, if you have any questions, leave the questions down below. If I can help you in any way today, then go to rawmotivations.com. We've got a couple different options for you to heal and for you to move forward. Some of them are challenges, some of them is working with one-on-one. There's a lot of different pieces that we talk about here. New here, I'm going through divorce, 8 years married. My wife started calling me a narcissist for 2 years. I've been abused physically, emotionally. I don't know what to do at this point. So a big piece is being able to make sure that you stay clear with what is actually going on. Because oftentimes a narcissist wants to keep you confused and wants to make you the victim, right? When in reality, like you're able to grow and develop you, but oftentimes you'll get stuck long term. Love to be able to help you inside of the challenge that we run. I don't run a bunch of stuff in a lot of categories for men that have been with narcissistic women because that's just not the main people that I work with. But inside the challenge, Survivor to Thriver, that's one of the challenges that actually helps break the trauma bond and work through the triggers. A big piece inside of going through divorce, I don't know if you have kids or not in the mix, but the biggest thing is making sure that you're showing up in a way of saying what you want, but not telling everything you want. And the reason why I say this is because oftentimes when you show up to the divorce or the mediation or that whole process and tell them exactly what you want, it's the one thing that you'll never get. So be really careful of that. Do you ever feel bad for what you did to other supplies? Yes. What is the main characteristic of narcissistic and can we detect at the beginning of our relationship? There's a lot of different characteristics. So the biggest thing oftentimes is being a liar and being a cheater. Some people are like, well, they're not all cheaters. I think they are, and I can elaborate on that more. But yes, a big thing is like they won't really respect boundaries. You'll see that where like boundaries are a big piece that they don't want to respect or listen to. Oftentimes it's a sense of self-entitlement, self-importance. Oftentimes it's a piece of not having any empathy or any sympathy towards you. 3 kids. Okay, so inside of the piece of the conversation with kids, one, as you're going through the divorce process, don't gray rock. Okay, I don't know if you know what that is. If you don't worry about it. Okay, what you want to do is use the BIF method, which is brief, informative, friendly, and firm. And it is a way to be able to, it's a framework, right? It's a framework to be able to have you communicate with a toxic, narcissistic type of person. So inside of that, you want to have your text messages, your emails, any type of communication fall into that framework because it's going to help you so much to show that you're not being toxic inside the court's eyes, but you're actually trying to work through a resolution piece. Do you think the movie No Good Deed with the bad guy is an accurate portrayal of a severe malignant narcissist? I actually haven't seen it, so I really wouldn't know. I'm a fan, been watching your videos and learned a lot about what is a narcissist. Awesome. I'm glad that it's helped. Destroy fam, like just check out Survivor to Thriver. So if you go to my website, rawmotivations.com/survivor, it is a great challenge. It's a 30-day challenge inside of there, but you get a lot of different tools to be able to help you actually get clarity. Because if we don't help you get clear in the situation, one is going to cost you a lot more inside a divorce course, because you're going to spend a lot of time going around and around. You're going to spend a lot of time with like attorney's fees and things like that. But it's also just going to leave you in a place where the anxiety and the stress is so high that it makes it hard to even make decisions. So we'd love to be able to help you with that. Go to rawmotivations.com/survivor. Did you ever future fake your supplies? 100%. Future faking is kind of like a status quo for a lot of times narcissists, but saying, I will do this, I will be with you, all those kind of things were a big piece of that. Can one tell if a narcissist is sincere when apologizing, or is it just part of a manipulation? So Sarah, really good observation and question here. The biggest thing that sets apart a narcissist actually apologizing is changed behavior. If you do not see changed behavior, then it's just manipulation. So apology without changed behavior is manipulation. So you have to really understand this. Can a narcissist change? I believe anybody can change if they're willing to actually be honest. The problem is the majority of narcissists are not willing to be honest, because if they are, they have to deal with all the shame, the guilt that they actually see how they've been showing up in a very toxic way. So it's much easier to just lie and just abuse and continue moving forward than it is to actually be honest. How do they act when they like you? A lot of times narcissists will act in a love bombing way, which is like putting you up and making you feel like you're on a pedestal, and maybe getting you gifts and a lot of over the top compliments, a lot of texting, communication, like a lot of just like, oh, this is my soulmate. And then all of a sudden it shifts and all of it changes. How do we see changed behavior? What do they got to do? You got to see honesty, vulnerability, and this consistency happen. If we don't see the consistency, then it's not going to happen. I do that through emails and texts, but she's always talks with me, manipulated her daughters who I adopted. Now they don't like me and only our son. Yeah, it's hard when they turn the kids against you. Biggest thing inside of this, which is not a very popular opinion, but needs to be heard. The biggest thing inside of this is that you heal you, because out of your own healing comes your kids' redemption. If you focus so much on trying to heal the kids, fix the relationship, you'll actually lose them. So you have to focus on you so they see a healed version of you, and then they run towards that because they see the other person who is not healed. I've heard borderlines are narcissist kryptonite. Is that true? What do you think? I would say to a certain extent that that is true, and that would be based on my own experience of being with one of my supplies that was a borderline. And inside of that is probably the one that like screwed me up the most in my head, as far as like what I was thinking, what I was doing. Like it got really dark. It got really crazy sometimes. The other piece inside of borderlines and narcissists, a lot of times you can see a borderline and narcissist almost get into like this synergy circle where the narcissist is pushing the person away, but then the borderline's afraid of abandonment. So they come back and they stay even more. And sometimes can be a very, very toxic relationship that actually sticks around longer, because it's almost like magnets, but they're just in sync in one sense. Is it possible that someone could have a breakdown and then that moment become one and not aware of it, and then struggle to acknowledge that it's happened and be blind to it? It'd be kind of difficult, because the majority of times you're seeing this from like early childhood and throughout their growth and development. But there is times where they've like kept it completely silent, or they've hidden it. And sometimes they've hidden it because it just doesn't appear great to society. Like they'd rather be able to hide from it than they would really reveal who they actually are. If you guys are just tuning in, I'm a self-aware narcissist on this channel to provide awareness to narcissistic abuse, sharing some of my stories of what has happened and what I've done in the past to my family and to my wife. That is awful. But being able to actually share this so that you know that you're not crazy, that you're not alone, and that you're not hopeless in trying to heal from a toxic guy that has really left you bereft of your dreams, your values, and direction you want to go. If you haven't already, hit the follow button, because we'd love to be able to just educate you more and be able to help you more inside the healing. And if I can help you, then also reach out at rawmotivations.com. The most responsible thing most people could do is not have kids anyways. Okay, Charlie, that's interesting perspective there. What causes narcissism? Some type of past trauma? Yeah, it's typically different pieces of trauma in the past. Oftentimes it can be like mental, emotional, physical, sexual, different aspects. There's not just one type. The biggest thing is the child at a young age is not learning how to be able to process shame and guilt, whether they're belittled, whether they're put down by the parents, whether they've been abused in different ways. That's one of the biggest pieces. There's no emotional safety, okay? What makes a narcissistic person snap against their victims that get them to react? I think I know what you're asking, but I'm trying to. Biggest thing is like it's looking for the trigger that's going to make him snap. So like for me, a trigger would be like disrespect, and whether that's perceived or actual, it'd just be disrespect. So like if my daughter is disrespecting my wife, like it's going to be like a trigger, and I'm going to be like, whoom, like that's kind of like how I feel. I'm like, don't you do that, right? If it happens to me, I'm like, don't you do that. So like there's always going to be different triggers that the narcissist is going to have that's going to lead to that place. How long did you and your wife separate before you came back? In between, did you use lice? I did not lice. I know that for sure. So my wife and I were separated for close to about 5 months, or a little bit over 5 months. And inside of that, she came back. She originally came back to be able to get some clothes because it was season change. And then she stuck around for a little bit just because at that point she saw a difference. Like, that's really the best way I could be able to put it. She saw a difference in how I was showing up, how I was communicating, how I was being honest. So there's a big aspect there. I did not live with any other supplies. I still had connection and communication with one of them until that finally got cut off by both of us. Do all narcissists have an avoidant attachment style? No, they don't. Not all of them do. That's a very popular one, but not all of them do. Now, I can tell the difference between just an avoidant person and a narcissist. End of the day, it doesn't matter. This is the biggest thing I need you to understand. The real truth behind it is it just matters how you're actually getting treated. Is the person you're with lying, cheating, abusing you, like mentally and emotionally manipulating you? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if that person's avoidant or if that person's narcissist. What matters is you're getting abused and you're putting up with it. So we need to help you heal and grow and change you. Okay? All right. I've cheated every girlfriend that I had. How did you make the commitment to marriage? So I didn't make the commitment to marriage at the beginning because that's why I continued to cheat and go to other people. The biggest thing was realizing, do I want this life? Because this life was actually frustrating and was like disheartening. Like, there was no peace that I actually enjoyed about it. I enjoyed the high of it, but I still came back to a marriage that I hated, that I didn't want, and it just kept happening over and over. The cycle kept happening until I realized that I just lied to myself. I lied to everybody else, but I didn't believe that I lied to myself. Once I saw that I was lying to myself and that I was the creator of all the results in my life, life started changing up. If past trauma wasn't their fault, should you not feel sorry for them? No, because just because a person has trauma in their life doesn't give them the right to use and abuse another person. Okay, so let's set that straight really quick. If they had past trauma, doesn't mean that you get to be sorry for them and still take the abuse. Okay? Did narcissists hate competition? A lot of narcissists are very competitive. I'm having the hardest time breaking away from the covert narcissist. Tanya, please reach out. We'd love to be able to help you because what I specialize in is helping break the trauma bond. You can go to rawmotivations.com just to be able to learn more. If you want to talk to me, go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough because a big piece is trying to be able to help you heal from it. If we don't actually break the trauma bond, you'll continue to cycle back to them over and over and over. What did two narcissists in a relationship look like? Toxic and toxic. That's it. She took it out by me little by little until I couldn't take it anymore. Anything little I did wrong was like a bomb went off, total rage. Yeah, 100%. It's just looking for the trigger piece. Knowing they're a full-blown narcissist and striking out for another 3.5. Yeah, so oftentimes people will be with a narcissist, they'll realize, hey, this person's toxic, have narcissistic traits, and then they'll continue in the relationship. I am said, you don't need a narcissist to help you get away from a narcissist. You need to grab your balls or your pussy and fucking walk away. Or we could actually just lose some of the language and you could just get off my channel. What makes a person suffer from this neurosis or that? Are you talking about like narcissism or what are we talking about? Sorry. So you're trying to tell people you're a narcissist, helping people deal with the narcissist. Greg, that is correct. Welcome to the channel. So this has been what I've been doing over the past couple of years, being able to help people not be with guys who were like me and how I showed up this way. All right. Let's go ahead and block you because you're being a jerk. And we said keep it nice and you can't keep it nice. So bye-bye. Anyways, so I'm not afraid to block people, but I'm not going to block you if you disagree with me. I'm going to block you for acting like a fucking idiot on my channel. That's not what we're here for. So if you don't like that, then you can go away. Okay. Did your wife ask you to acknowledge the abuse she endured with you before you got back together? So there was already me acknowledging different levels of the abuse, acknowledging the cheating, acknowledging all those different things before she left. So let's set the story straight so everybody understands. Inside of this piece, my wife left after I had confessed the affairs, after I had been in EMDR therapy for 6 months, and after I'd been in regular talk therapy for 5 months. Then she left. The reason why she left, because at that point I was still lying to myself. I was not showing a change in behavior and actions and how I was actually communicating and showing up to her. So as a result, she left. This is the thing I need you all to understand. If you're in a relationship with a toxic guy and he is not showing up honest, vulnerable, or having this consistency inside of changing and growing himself, leave. Because you're not in a relationship, you're in a situationship. If you're with someone who is a liar, you have no relationship and you're actually gaslighting yourself to believe that you have something that you actually don't. Thank you for all motivations. You're amazing. Appreciate it very much. Appreciate you. He runs away from narcissism mother and siblings while I'm running away from him because he's just like them. He says I'm in peace, but it's clear not he's mine. Yeah, it sounds like he's just taking all the trauma there and like putting it back on you, like finding a way to how does he deal with it. He's projecting it back on you. What is a covert narcissist? Think of an overt narcissist, but just hidden. Really, they just add the C to it. But covert narcissist oftentimes is looking more like vulnerable, a little bit more quiet. They're like manipulating more subtly. The abuse is more subtle. There's a lot of different pieces. If you want to know more in depth, I have a couple videos on that. And also a really good book out there is called The Covert Passive Aggressive Narcissist by Debbie Mirza. Inside this, if you're struggling with a trauma bond, if you're trying to be able to heal from it, we'll love to be able to help you. We've got a 30-day challenge that I run that actually helps people break the trauma bond, work on the triggers, and have a tool in your pocket every single day to be able to process the emotions. You can go to rawmotivations.com and then click on the Survivor to Thriver challenge. It's an amazing challenge that we've helped liberate multiple women from toxic relationships. There's nothing wrong with about talking about it, having a look, work things, but don't give it any more power than it deserves. Not sure what that's going back to. In the past 3 years, I used to work for a narcissistic boss who owns his own bagel shop, and I was always isolated, demeaned, devalued mentally and emotionally. I was always very uncomfortable. Yeah, a lot of times you'll see that inside of narcissistic bosses, how they treat you. Father, my child has a lot of narcissistic tendencies, but he doesn't cheat as far as I know. Do covert narcissists not always cheat? So let me ask you this. Has he cheated you out of time with your kid? Has he cheated you out of your hopes and your dreams? Has he cheated you out of other relationships because he's isolated you? Like when you look at this and you really break it down, he's cheated you out of a lot of stuff. You just don't want to look at the fact that he hasn't actually physically cheated on you with another woman, but he's cheated your life. So inside of all of this, what is the real big piece? The big piece is how this guy's treating you. Right now, it sounds like he's treating you like shit. So at that point, we need to make a difference in you. Because otherwise you'll continue having the same type of patterns and the same type of addiction. You'll stay in the trauma bond, keep going back to this person over and over and over again. This is what I work with people to help them break the trauma bond. Because if you don't understand it and get clarity and confidence in your own decision making, you won't have the certainty to actually move away. You won't have the certainty to actually move forward to heal yourself. What's the difference between this and BPD? There's a lot of different differences. It'd be hard to go into all the nuances of it. The biggest delineation that I normally say is that BPD has more empathy and can connect more emotionally than a lot of times narcissists can. And oftentimes with BPD, even inside the criteria, there's more tendencies to have like suicidal traits or tendencies, or even just use that in like a manipulation piece. I worked with narcissists boss in the past. Was always coming home yelling at my parents every day. And one day was he a close friend? Cop come to my parents and asked me what was going on. I'm trying to be able to catch up. BPD is borderline personality disorder. It's one of the 4 that's inside of the cluster B categories. So you have borderline personality disorder, histrionic, antisocial, which is sociopath, and then narcissistic as well. What if you will never reach out to them again, but you can't stop thinking about it? Then I'd say you're still trauma bonded because that person is still taking up free real estate in your mind and you haven't actually healed from it. What I mean is I'm not trying to degrade any of the healing that's happened so far. I'm just saying if this person still is in your mind, they're still controlling it, which means you haven't healed to the place where you can actually let go. All right. How do you fight a narcissist? Do you know their weaknesses? Biggest thing to be able to fight a narcissist is to leave, focus on you, grow and develop you. Because otherwise you're going to spend so much time trying to fight and trying to win his game when he could just manipulate the game, okay? Were you narcissistic or full-blown? I would say it was full-blown. My wife would say I was full-blown too, and so would my therapist that diagnosed me as well. Nearly 5 months out of a 12-year relationship, I feel like I'm attached to him even though I'm completely cut off. That's because you still are attached to him and it's called a trauma bond. If we don't actually help you rewire the trauma bond, you'll stay stuck mentally for a long period of time. So reach out, go to rawmotivations.com. We'd love to help you actually have the tools and like steps moving forward. What helped you heal? Was it therapy? I've been in therapy for over 4 years, so that's been a big piece of it. But inside of it, it's not just, it has not just therapy. Like there's multiple pieces that have been able to help me rewire my mindset and being able to reframe what's actually going on and how to be able to move forward in the healing process. I struggle with my wife who's clearly narcissistic but uses the kids. Oftentimes they'll try to leverage the kids because they don't care about the kids. They just care about manipulating you. Thanks for answering questions. You're welcome. Monica, like reach out. Like I remember like where you were at, just reach out. If you worked for a narcissist and the narcissist treated you poorly, What would the consequences be like? Probably like the belittling, like shaming, like maybe different assignments. Like there's a lot of different pieces there. So working on yourself and not working on everybody else. I'm not sure what's going on. Were you able to identify how you became a narcissist? Thank you for all you do. So a big piece going back had to do with disconnection from the primary caregiver. So like growing up, my dad was an evangelist, so we actually traveled from church to church all around the country. So inside of that, I kind of got like passed off person to person whenever we go to different churches. And there was also this piece of getting used to having different masks, getting used to, hey, we got a different place. This is what we do. We get up, we perform, we're done, we move on. And so there's a lot of piece in growing up inside of religion of learning, hey, it's about conformity, not about connection. And that was a big piece of it. And then there's also just different aspects of not being able to emotionally talk through things. And there was no emotional like safe space to be able to engage, to be able to just work through, hey, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm doing. It was more of like, hey, we know the answers. This is what you're supposed to do. So oftentimes it was easier for me to hide so I could actually get what I wanted. I'm in the beginning of CPT. Will that be helpful in the long run? CPT, is that type of therapy? You mean seed? I'm not sure what you're saying there. My dad's a narcissist. I'm struggling with how to move forward. Do I try to have a relationship with boundaries or cut them out entirely? I'd say start off with boundaries. Like boundaries are always a good thing, but understand that boundaries are for you, not for him. And it's how you want to make sure that you actually show up in life, how, the values, the vision that you have for you. And then if he's not willing to accept those or abide by those or like see where you're at, then yeah, you might have to cut them off. Why are you confident that human experience can be categorized into words like narcissism? What? Can living to please God instead of yourself free one from being a narcissist? No, I don't think it's that simple, if you put it that way. Is narcissist the end goal to get fuel? To get supply? Yeah, no, if it's CBT, that totally makes sense. They put CPT, so I was a little confused what it would be. Cognitive processing. Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, that can definitely help for sure. A lot of like what I do is along the lines of like CBT, DBT, simply because like when we're able to help people reprogram their mindset and rewire, that's where we have to be able to actually break them free of the story they're telling themselves. So a lot of what we teach is in this aspect of reframing. So like, a really like quick and easy example would be like you have this idea that he loves you. When in reality, when we look at the facts, you're like, wait a second, the facts don't actually prove that he loves you. But you want to already believe a fantasy or a fiction that he loves you when he actually doesn't. So a big piece in helping you actually break free from toxicity and break free from the trauma bond is we have to get the triggers and we have to work on the story that you're actually telling yourself. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Do you believe in God? Yes, I do. Can waiting until marriage to have sex be a good way to avoid getting a relationship with a narcissist? No, not at all. You can get a narcissist with any aspect.
Did you eat all the vanilla ice cream?
I did not. There should be another one in the garage. Because remember, I moved it all out with the hurricane that came through. How about this for philosophy? If you have bad ADHD and it could be a bit too much... It's Charlie, I don't really know. Your comments are very much ADHD. What can I do to break through with my son's narcissist? From narcissist. So biggest thing you need to understand is you can't. Like, I don't know how to be able to explain this and like get it like clear enough. And I don't mean this to sound like a degrading way, but I'm just trying to make sure you understand. Like my wife was not able to get through to me because I didn't respect her. Like you're not going to be able to get through to a guy that does not respect you. He doesn't give a shit about you. And when you try to be able to communicate, all you're doing is you're playing more into his hand. You have to grow and develop you. And he either sees you rise and he wants to rise with you, or he sees you rise and he's like, forget that. And you're like, yeah, there's no way I want to even be with this person. You can't download and you can't enable them because they're probably enabling them. Did you feel like believed you loved your wife? That was one of the lies that I told myself while I was cheating on her. So yeah, there's a piece of like, I wanted to tell myself that even though that wasn't even true. Do coverts and overts stay together? I'm not sure what you mean by that. How did you find out that you're a narcissist? There's one time, it was like several years ago, that like inside of everything that was going on, I actually asked my wife, we were actually standing in the kitchen, not this kitchen because we were in a different house, but we were standing in the kitchen and we were cleaning up after like supper or something like that. And we were talking through different things about how I was different, how I showed up different things like that. And I just had this like passing thought and I was like, you know what? I wonder if I'm like a sociopath. And so we like looked it up. And we looked it up, and she was like, no, I don't think you're a sociopath. I think you're a narcissist. And little did I know she'd already been watching like Lee Hammock's channel and getting like the download about narcissism at that point. And so she had that idea. I remember she showed me Lee Hammock's channel a long time ago, and I was like, who's this guy? He doesn't know anything. I remember I like played it down because I was like, yeah, whatever. Because I didn't want to be like that. I didn't want to be that guy, right? And so inside of that, we looked up narcissism. I denied it. I made sure to tell other people that I wasn't a narcissist, made sure that they went and told her that I wasn't a narcissist. All these things trying to make sure that I didn't appear like a narcissist. But in reality, there was a piece there that I knew. There's different aspects that happened after that. There's different pieces of personality tests, therapy. There's different aspects of going to different places. Went to a sex addiction intensive, and really coming away even from that, there was a piece that was, it was both. It was a piece of relief of like, at least I finally know what it is. And there was also a piece of like, oh crap. Because at that point it was like, there's nothing else, but it was narcissism. And I didn't want to admit it. I didn't want to actually see it at that point. But that also kind of stemmed inside of like therapy and working through all different things to be able to start breaking it down piece by piece. Do narcissists get angry when you challenge their behavior? Yeah, 100%, because you're calling them out. Is domestic violence the same as narcissism? No, but a lot of times you'll have narcissists that use violence to be able to control and manipulate you. Husband's finally showing me respect and self-awareness, but I've never asked him to acknowledge the abuse I endured in our marriage. When's the right time to do this? So what I would question you, Chickadee, would be the aspect of like, is he doing that at the end of the relationship, or that you already filed, or that you already said you were going to get a divorce, things like that, because oftentimes they'll do that at the very end, just to be able to manipulate you. Do you go through ableism? Ask me again or talk through that a little bit more, just so I have an idea of what your perspective is, because sometimes there's different aspects or different definitions behind that. If I tell my MPD boyfriend that I understand that he doesn't respect me and that he wants me to stay longer, the next time he hits me, he needs to start recognizing his disorder. Might this work? No, not necessarily. He's not going to care that he doesn't respect you. Thank you for sharing about yourself. It's very enlightening. Yeah, but it's not supposed to be hot when you get the ice cream. You're supposed to be able to put it in and it like does its magic. See, it's moving it. Yes. She's trying to get ice cream. The ice cream is like very much frozen right now. How do you practice your gratitude day? I do gratitude stacks, and I also write stuff down every single day. If a narcissist moves on fast, do they get a chance of changing with their new supply? No, because they're just moving on. They're not actually changing and growing themselves. You got to listen to what you're saying. If you hit you again, how many times are you going to allow this person to hit you? Yeah, 100%. Like, hitting is never okay at all. Do narcissists feel regret because they hurt someone, or do they just feel regret because they lost control of the situation? Typically, it's lost control of the situation. It's not regret of like, oh, I hurt this person. It's more of like, oh, I lost this supply, or I didn't like have this over this person anymore. Do they ever even have feelings for their supply? Yeah, there's feelings. Narcissists aren't devoid of feelings, but there's also not honesty and engagement long term. Is narcissism on a spectrum? 100%. On the low end, you'd have narcissistic tendencies. On the high end, you'd have full-blown narcissists, and then move past that, and then you have like sociopath, and then you have like psychopath. Okay. How hard is it to admit and be vulnerable? Extremely hard. It was not an easy thing at all, and still is not. You know, there's still a piece of like vulnerability is not the funnest thing in the world for sure. Do you ever say sorry for anything? Do you ever admit it? Yes, I do now. I didn't back then. There was always a piece that I would never even like say sorry. Like the words wouldn't even come out. Do you have kids? Yes, we have 2. Being called out as a narcissist makes you angry, then does that mean you don't see yourself as a bad person? Majority of narcissists don't see themselves as a bad person. They have to be able to justify it inside their mind so that they feel better about themselves and blame everybody else. What's the difference between someone who needs assurance and a narcissist? How they're treating you. Like the biggest thing we have to understand is the label doesn't matter. We're looking at the label and people are like, but I need to know if this person is or is not. You actually don't. What you need to know is this person a liar? Is this person a cheater? Is this person not respecting you? Is this person not actually engaged, helping you move forward in your growth and your development? That's what you need to know, because so many times you're going to focus on the label versus actually moving forward for you. Do narcissists enjoy hurting others, or they just not care at all? Typically just not care at all. Sometimes hurting you isn't the main goal or isn't the main aspect. That'd be more sociopath. But on the same line, if they do hurt you, getting what they want, a lot of times they'll just continue doing that. Do you think you believe your own lies, or did you know that you were lying? So yes, 100% I believed my own lies, and I did know I was lying, but I didn't want to admit it, because if I admit it, then I have to deal with the shame and the guilt. Narcissists are always running away from shame and the guilt. What's the most difficult thing you had to change or tried to change? The lies. That was probably the biggest thing. Do you feel like people using narcissism to insult others is a micro insult, ableist language? Do you feel like, I don't even understand that. Do you feel like people using narcissists to insult others are a micro insult, ableist language? I just think it's stupid if it's not true, and if people are just trying to insult others, then like, what's the point? If you're married to a narcissist, can you start to pick up their traits as you're scared to upset them? Yes, 100%. Oftentimes we'll call these narcissistic fleas. You start like picking up different aspects of like lying, trying to hide stuff, like all different types of things to try to manipulate the situation so that you don't get called out, yelled at, like beat up in one sense. So you have to be really careful. Doesn't changing and admitting all of this change you mentally away from being narcissist? Yeah, 100%. What if a person disrespects me, no longer looks up to me? I use the high ego one, but now they are and manipulate me. I just don't want to. I just accommodate their very needs. I would take a hard look at the relationship and what are the facts about it, because it sounds like it's really screwed up. Is it possible for some narcissists to not know that they are lying? Yeah, if they believe the lie long enough. What is it? Hitler said, if you tell a lie long enough and loud enough, like people eventually believe it. How do you make sure you don't damage your kids? One, growing myself, changing myself. Like the only way to be able to help lead a path forward, to be able to help my kids move forward, is to make sure that I'm not showing up how I used to show up at all. What is the narcissist doing during no contact? Probably screwing someone else over because he doesn't really care. I suspect I might be a narcissist. I lie and I cheat and manipulate, and it's become pathological. I'm suffering. How do I heal? Nestor, reach out. Go to rawmotivations.com. Would love to talk to you. I work with a few guys that are narcissistic or have narcissism. And the goal inside of that is we have to be able to work on breaking the mindset so that you actually tell the truth. If you don't tell the truth, then you're going to continue producing the same crappy results, and that's it. Like you're going to be on a dead-end road no matter what you do. How much did you score on the test? I don't have my test scores in front of me to tell you how much I scored, but I've been diagnosed and I've taken lots of different personality tests about it. How can you help a narcissist see that they're a narcissist? You can leave. You can grow and develop you. You're not going to convince him that he's a narcissist. You're not going to show him that he's a narcissist. The biggest thing is you need to be able to see. You're going to focus so much on trying to get him to see, to understand all this kind of stuff. In reality, like it's only going to slow you down in your healing process. Do they really not know what they do because he seriously doesn't know why he left? He knows exactly why you left. The thing is he doesn't want to admit it, and he doesn't want to acknowledge why you left because that means he's a bad person. What do narcissists value the most in life? Power and image and control over you. Does narcissists watch your social media even though you blocked you? Oftentimes they do, because they view that power is control. They view that knowledge is power and control over you. Even though they're not like interacting with you, they'll still think that they're like, oh, I know everything about this person. Do you ever find that giving advice and giving back helps? Yeah, 100%. Please tell me. So you know how trauma bonds are broken, married for 27 years and separated for 3, struggling to let go. So Kelly, reach out. That's specifically what we work on inside of our 30-day challenge, and even working with me one-on-one. So go to rawmotivations.com. Would love to be able to help you move forward, because we have to be able to break the trauma bond by helping you rewire your mindset. What mattered more to you, being right or having other things think that you were right? No, as being right. Like I didn't care if they thought I was right. I cared about that I was right in my own mind. So even if I was wrong, but in my mind I was right, it didn't matter. Over a year, broken up with an ex-narcissistic, sociopathic narcissist. I'm out, but together a letter in which I did reveal the things, a lot of things he did me dirty. One of being sounded with card repairs. Yeah. Is it a choice or a neurological condition? So I'd have you ask this. If it was a neurological condition, okay, everybody's going to like fight this, but I need you to understand. If it was a condition that was impossible for anything to be different, then why doesn't he treat everybody the same exact way? He doesn't. He treats you like shit, but he treats other people like they're amazing. He treats you awful, but then his coworkers are just fine. He treats you awful, but the rest of his family is just fine. This is why you need to understand it's a choice. People don't want to hear this. This is a very unpopular opinion, but it is still a choice. When I was doing this, I still had a choice, but I was unwilling to make a different choice simply because that would mean that I was the bad guy. Didn't want to be the bad guy. So I had to run away from it and say, oh, I don't have a choice, just who I am. No, it's a bunch of BS. How do you stand up to a narcissist? Being able to have healthy boundaries that don't just apply to the narcissist, but apply to you. Boundaries are for you. They're not for the narcissist. They're not for anyone else. Boundaries are for you. Can a narcissist love his partner truly? Only if he's willing to actually drop the ego and actually work through it, knowing that it's a choice. Let me know you might be able to help. Where can I find the info? rawmotivations.com. Just go to rawmotivations.com. I used to work for Narcissistic Boss 3 years ago. You already wrote that a while ago about the bagel shop. What is annoying to a narcissist? There's a lot of different things. It just really kind of depends on the narcissist. So it could be like disrespect. It could be like being called out. Like there's multiple things. If your forehead wrinkles, could you talk about how close they are, how they start the conversation? I'm not sure where we're going with that. Does he want me to be like him, lie or cheat? Or does he want to lower my morals? Yes. A lot of times he wants you to lower your morals. He wants you to cheat so then he can actually break up with you, or he doesn't have to actually feel bad. All right, we're getting some of the crazies out here. Why narcissist tags only their partner and children and not the parents? Oftentimes because the parents either might be narcissistic or that's where they came from. Why doesn't the Bible talk about NPD? It totally does. Are you vulnerable or grandiose? More on the vulnerable covert side. Do narcissists do nice things for someone without getting something out of it? Or is it only because they gain something? It's always because they gain something. It's not because they just want to be nice. The only way you could possibly have that would be like a communal narcissist or even maybe a covert narcissist, but inside the piece of nice, it's still because they're getting something, right? Like they're getting like image, approval, that kind of things. So narcissist isn't a narcissist. Not sure where that comment is going back. How do I know if I'm a narcissist or if I'm just being narcissistically abused by someone trying to convince me that I am? Go ahead and start looking up the traits. There's 9 diagnostic traits. You have to have at least 5 to be considered a narcissist. Is there any crossover between BPD and NPD? 100%. They're like right beside each other inside of the cluster B categories inside the DSM-5. Do you believe it's something to do with the brain not being developed as it should? That affects the gray matter, which affects the empathy piece, for sure. Do all people that divert conversations back to them narcissists, like they need to relate? Not necessarily all people, but that is a tendency that you can see in a conversation. So a narcissist isn't a narcissist with everyone. Why their wives? No, they are a narcissist with everyone. I'm saying like how they are acting. So like what we're saying inside of that is someone is asking like, is it neurological? So like they can't help themselves. Yeah, they can help themselves because they're also picking how they're showing up toxic. Demonic possession is a metaphor for NPD in the Bible. I don't believe that because I don't think that all narcissists are possessed by demons. Honestly, if you've ever seen a person just be selfish, just multiply that by 10 and you have a narcissist. Like that's a big piece of it. Is narcissism a sin? Well, does it go against God? You'd have to look that up in the Bible. What triggers covert narcissism? The same thing that triggers overt. Like you're saying like triggers to show it, it'd be a piece of exposure. What's the best way to co-parent with a narcissist? There is no way to co-parent with a narcissist. You have to parallel parent. Look that up. That'll be the best advice I could give you. Parallel parenting and the Biff method. How can you pretend to be a narcissist back to one? So like, it's like, how can you be toxic back to the person? Or you could just leave and actually heal and grow and change yourself versus degrading yourself to actually act that way. If you're diagnosed by a doctor, then take it, but don't take it from one. What are you talking about? They say if you can fit your... Okay. We're getting a bunch of dumb comments. Are there any narcissists in their family? Maybe some narcissistic tendencies, but not necessarily a full-blown narcissist. Do you believe narcissists can be made, not born? I believe that narcissists are made for sure. I don't believe that they're born. I think they might have, more tendencies, but I definitely think that they're made. How to protect yourself from narcissistic smear campaign. Live your life like they don't even exist because all they want is you to react and respond and to try to be able to justify yourself. When in reality, like you need to focus on you and grow and move forward. Can you heal and become not narcissist, or is it like you've got it or not? Yeah, you can totally heal from narcissism, but it all depends on this person's willing to be honest. If you don't want to be honest, then nothing's actually going to change. Do you ever just like, well, when you see news on TV and wonder why these people care about you? I don't really know what we're talking about there. Difference between narcissism and antisocial personality disorder. The biggest piece off the top of my head, even just from like the DSM-5 between NPD and ASPD, would be along the lines of, it's almost, I don't remember it because I'm not studied up on the ASPD, but it's almost like a piece of like they don't care about getting in trouble with the law. Versus like NPD would actually like fall under that a little bit more. It's like a nuance, and like they're very, very similar. Don't get me wrong. NPD has more characteristics inside the DSM-5 than like the sociopath. How can you detect if someone's a narcissist as quickly as possible? See if they're a liar, see if they gaslight, see if how they respond to boundaries, and like when you say no. How is best to confront them about being possibly a narcissist? Talk to them about being a liar. If they can't admit that they're a liar, they won't admit that they're a narcissist. So don't waste your time trying to convince them that they're a narcissist if they won't admit that they're a liar. Can narcissists ever feel guilty or remorse? Yeah, a lot of times they do, and that's why they hide it, they sedate it, and they also rage out. Is there any way we can make a narcissist agree to our point? By any chance, a person who has NPD understands his personality traits? So you're trying to convince another person, you're trying to, like, you're arguing with crazy. Like, this is the piece. Is your focus, like, okay, back it up for a minute. Is there any way to convince a narcissist that you're right? Here we have to understand a very key principle in your healing and in your growth. This is coach mode for a moment. And inside of this, you have to understand there is a principle. Would you rather get what you want, or would you rather be right? You can be right in the relationship and still be trauma bonded and still be stuck and still have an abusive relationship that stems from hell. Or you can actually get what you want, which is actually healing, growing, and developing yourself to move forward. Now you're saying, but I want him. Okay, but do you actually want the relationship how it is? You're like, no, I want a different version of him. Well, that's not happening. So we need to actually focus on what you actually want. Inside of this, you have to understand you can be right, but never get what you want. Or do you want to just get what you want? Inside of this, we have to be able to shift your mindset. If we do not shift your mindset and your frame of reality, how you're viewing it, you will go down into a really, really dark pit trying to make sure that you're right. But all you're doing is you're arguing with crazy and you're trying to convince a wall to do something. Can you explain how false self is for a narcissist? A lot of times a narcissist is projecting like a mask to be able to feel better about themselves. Could I block her from all social media, go no contact? 100%. If you're with a narcissist, I would block them and I would go no contact. It doesn't mean you're going to heal, but it does put a piece of a buffer in between. We have to get a buffer in between you and the other person so you can actually focus on your growth and your healing. This is what we do inside of our challenge that we have. You can go to rawmotivations.com to be able to learn more about that. How can I help him sign up for your program? You can't. Like, you can't convince him. I don't know how to like make this clear. Like, you can't convince the narcissist to do anything. Like, my wife did not convince me to get help. My wife did not convince me I was a narcissist. Like, my wife didn't make me do anything. And simply put, because I didn't respect her, there's no way that she could have. There's no way that you're going to get him to respect you. I feel like I'm narcissistic. What can I do? Reach out. We'd love to be able to talk to you. You can go to rawmotivations.com, click on the one-on-ones. There's a place for guys that I work with that are narcissistic. Did something cause the narcissist to become a narcissist? Yes. Typically, it starts early on in childhood. Do narcissists know that they're narcissists? They typically know that something is wrong, that something is not right. Do they have separation anxiety? No, but my dog does. But yeah, no, separation anxiety is not necessarily a key about narcissism. Can you love your children? Narcissists cannot love unless they're willing to drop the ego. If they can't drop the ego, then they're just going to be loving themselves, an image of themselves, not the actual kids, not the partner. Are they insecure by neglectful parents? That could be a piece of it for sure. What happens in a narcissist if he starts meditating and lets go of all emotions and thoughts and becomes just an observer? Don't know. It'd be interesting to see one that actually does that. Can narcissists change without therapy or accountability? No. I would say no. Like, that's what you're looking for. If like there's like a come to Jesus moment where he's like magically healed, yeah, that's not true. How would you handle someone interpreting grave rocking as evidence of you being a covert narcissist and attempt to keep flipping the narrative? I would say don't do grave rocking, because grave rocking actually doesn't help. There's a lot of people that get in trouble with grave rocking, either from the court system or their partner gets more abusive. I would say inside of this, using the BIF method, brief, informative, friendly, and firm, as a framework for all your communication is much more effective and doesn't paint you as the abuser. We're just spinning around in circles trying to get an answer from the narcissist, trying to convince the narcissist if they don't give you their reasoning. Yeah, a lot of times you're just going in circles trying to convince them. Do you feel like you can generally feel in love now? Yes, 100%. There's been a lot of work, a lot of growth, a lot of mindset shifts in how I show up and what I do. How do you deal with a partner's ex that still has control over your partner? The partner has to be able to get the freedom. If they're not willing to actually see it and do it, like, it's going to be so difficult. Suffer from PTSD, so it feels... I lost it, sorry. I'm currently with a narcissist. I've already checked out mentally 100%, but 85% emotionally. I've done the research. I've acknowledged reality. How do I leave? Reach out. We'd love to be able to help you. Go to rawmotivations.com. Click on the Survivor Thriver Challenge, because we have to help you break the trauma bond and get that mental and emotional piece connected so you can actually make decisions that you're confident of and you're moving forward. If a narcissist can love people, how would they show it? They drop the ego, they show up honest, they show up vulnerable, and they show up consistent, changing and growing themselves. What happens to a narcissist if he starts meditating? We already answered this. I don't know. How should I act in court with a narcissist via Zoom? Head down, straight face, without emotion, or dignified? I would, I would take a sticky note, and when you get on the Zoom, I would put the sticky note over his face, and then I would just communicate like you'd be communicating to everybody else. I would just ignore him. Like, you don't want to be able to acknowledge that he's even there. You communicate and you answer questions for sure, but you want to try to remove any triggers that you can. Notice you didn't answer my question, buddy. Notice you didn't put your question in the comments again, buddy, because I don't see it. Do narcissist exes all come back? A lot of times they do, so I'd rather you prep for it versus not, and you'd be surprised, because the majority of times they do come back. Do narcissists have problems related to controlling the other person in the relationship? Yeah, 100%. Narcissists is all about control, manipulation, controlling the storyline, controlling their image. Can narcissists feel guilty? Do they really feel like they're always right? A lot of times they do feel like they're right, and they do feel guilty, but they always push it away really fast. What trauma caused you to be a narcissist? We talked about this a little bit earlier, but a different piece of like disconnection with the primary caregiver, like emotional insecurities, emotional pieces of like not being able to process and work through stuff, not having a safe place emotionally to be able to work through stuff. It wasn't necessarily that I was exposed to a bunch of different abuse in that aspect. Let's see. Thanks for preparing, keeping my standards and detaching. How do you get your narcissist ex-husband to understand what it takes? Time for our kids to heal, and it's not on his time. He's not going to care. It's all about him, and it's all about his time. Is it normal feeling emotionally violated with a narcissist? 100%. Like, you've been like emotionally and like mentally kind of like mind fucked with this person. So yeah, you're going to feel awful, and this is why we have to help you like work through like the thought process to be able to help you rewire your mindset. All right. Do narcissists cause harm to children and small animals? Sometimes that'd be more sociopathic, but yeah, that's still gonna be a piece of there. Is it possible that I'm a narcissist? Yeah, totally possible. Reach out, go to rawmotivations.com, click on the one-on-ones. There's a section there for guys. If it resonates with you, reach out, let's talk. Stop waiting for a narcissist response. Stop being codependent on someone else who has no emotional depth. How do narcissists form relationships with other people, friends, partners? So they're forming relationships oftentimes just based on like little connections, little pieces to establish that they're the same. They'll either mirror it back to you. They'll establish different like quirks or tricks to build this like false connection. How to hurt them and get through their silent treatment. Give them the silent treatment back, ignore them, move forward, grow and develop yourself. Stop looking and try to have like revenge or hurt them or give them the karma, and start actually finding your healing, because that'll be the biggest hurt against this person when he comes back into your life and he has no access because you're already healed. How do narcissists try to control their partners typically? So a lot of times if you look at it from like an isolation standpoint, they're typically not telling their partners, no, you can't do this, you can't do that. They're typically trying to be able to manipulate by, oh, I thought you were going to spend time with me. Like, why would you not do this? Did you hear what your parents said about you? Like, I just find it kind of weird that your friend would do stuff like that. They're trying to like do triangulation. They're trying to pitch you against other people. Okay. I've come to the conclusion that either me or my fiance are the narcissist, or both. Yeah, would love to be able to talk. Let's kind of walk through it. Can you please be narcissist to me, everyone, or just targeted person? Narcissist is typically narcissistic towards one or a few select few people. Why can't they be introspective? They can, but they're unwilling, because if they're introspective, they're actually having to look and acknowledge what they've done wrong and how they're showing up in a toxic way. Just subscribe, appreciate it. What do I tell my 19 and 20-year-old kids in dealing with a narcissistic father? Sam, really good question. Inside of this, what I would say is wait for them to ask you and then answer honestly, fully honestly, even if it's super uncomfortable. Don't go after them to be able to say, oh, look what he's doing, this is what it is, this is whatever it might be, right? The whole thing is you want to make sure the kids are coming asking you questions, and then from there, you're being honest. Does narcissist also regularly check the Facebook page of victim during breadcrumbing? Yes. Is the narcissist also obsessed with the victim during breadcrumbing? Oftentimes, they're just trying to like lead you on. How can I explain dog whistling abuse to people that I'm close to? That one's super hard. Like, you'd have to have them like watch a video to explain it fully. But basically, they'll be like, hey, what's really hard is you see me react this way in public because this is what he's done to me a million times. And it's something that I've asked him to stop, and he won't actually listen. And then he does it in public, and it just really frustrates me. Can you have ADHD and narcissism? Yeah, 100%. Maybe talk about substance abuse, co-parent with narcissism. Do you have personal knowledge and experience for mood, body enhancement, or gaining coping strategies with the community? So a lot of times like substance abuse will happen because the narcissist is trying to sedate. Like, they're trying to be able to run from the feelings and emotions, the shame that's inside. I'm his wife, but he has a new supply, not leaving me too. Yeah, he's not going to leave you if he can have his cake and eat it too. He's going to wait till you actually do it. That way he can paint you as be the bad guy, but that's the only way you're going to get out, only way you're going to heal. Why do they say mean things about their miscarried baby and leave the mom isolated rather than accepting the baby did exist and said they denied despite having a scan? That's just their way to be able to shame you and put you down so they can move forward for them. Why are they so shame avoidant? How is a person so afraid of emotions like guilt and shame, yet they do the very actions to produce those feelings? Yeah, it doesn't make sense, but they're not thinking of it long term. They're not thinking, if I do this, it's going to cause me shame. They're just doing, hey, what do I need to do to avoid the shame in the moment? Oh, let me lie. That's going to cause shame. Oh, let me lie again so I don't feel the shame of that lie. Why does he keep coming back? Yeah, you need to hear this. Why does he keep coming back? Because you keep letting him. At this point, you are the vending machine that's free. And so every time he comes back into your life, he presses a button and he gets a reaction or response from you. So as a result, he's always going to keep coming back. The only way that you know he's never going to come back is when you actually ensure that it doesn't happen. When you actually go no contact, there's no way for him to get to you, and there's no way that you answer the door for him. Okay? You have to make sure that you heal and grow you. How can I protect younger siblings that still... How can I protect younger siblings that still live with their narcissistic parents? You're just going to have to be with them emotionally to be able to help support them. Why would a narcissist start telling you the truth when they cheat on you, things they've done? It could be to try to trigger you and try to get you to leave. That way you look like the bad guy. When did you know that you were a narcissist and how did you finally see it? There's a lot of different pieces in that. I'd have you look at my story just on YouTube, Self-Aware Narcissist on my channel. So there's a lot of different pieces that actually happen. I call it kind of like the dimmer switch that turned on versus the light bulb moment. So there's a lot of steps inside of there. But inside that, there was many years ago, about like 4 or 5 years ago now, inside of going through this. So I've been in therapy for a little bit over 4 years now. Did you always feel great if the topic was about you and feel bored if it's not about you? Yes, that was a big piece of it. Can narcissists be a stalker? 100%. Is stabbing people properly with no reason past narcissism, or there's something else? Did you mean stabbing or do you mean something else? Question, how do you tell if I'm dealing with a narcissist? I would have you look at the 9 diagnostic traits to be able to see how does this person actually showing up. Is he willing to respect you? Is he a liar? Is he actually following through with your boundaries? All those different pieces. My narcissist boyfriend knows that I don't care if he leaves. He tries to blame his behavior on me, but I don't allow him to do that. He apologized to me, and I never apologize for his nonsense. So it's good. But the question is, how long are you going to stay in that same cycle before you actually make a difference? Do they all strongly attach themselves to someone? Narcissists don't always attach themselves to someone. It just appears like they do. Are you on autopilot now, or is it a job every day to stay good? I would say it's more autopilot, but it's more of a piece of like when you go to the gym and you start doing reps, you get stronger. And so the stronger that you are, the easier it is to be able to work through the different challenges and like mind things that'll happen. Narcissists say they don't care. Are they always bluffing? No, that's actually them telling the truth. They don't care. Why do they isolate you and then blame you for not having friends? It's another place of power control, because then you have to go back to them every single time to be able to get your supply from them. How's your CBT? Do you see yourself as high functioning? I would say so. My ex tried shaming me into doing what she wanted, shoving other men in my face, admitting to cheating, forcing me to act the way, hoping I would be motivated to do more for them. Yeah, another way of like triangulation, try to get more from you. The narcissists stay away from help to protect themselves from facing past traumas. Yeah, you could do it that way, but it would also be just be a way of like avoiding the truth, avoiding honesty. I'm unsure whether or not I'm a narcissist. Do you think that it's just safe to assume that I am and try to get the treatment I am? I always say to start like working on it, start like researching it, actually working on it, because I'd rather have you do that than you be like, well, I'm asking, so I must not be a narcissist. That's a fallacy that a lot of people actually use to abuse even more. So I would definitely say reach out. Love to talk to you. You can go to rawmotivations.com, click on the one-on-ones. I've got a section there for guys. I work mainly with women who are stuck in toxic relationships, helping them break free mentally and emotionally, break the trauma bond and the triggers, but I also work with a select few of guys that are narcissistic as well. How do narcissists apologize to people if they do? I'm sorry you feel that way. It's not an apology or ownership of what they do, but it's an apology of like, I'm sorry that you got offended by me punching you in the face, that kind of thing. How do I respond to my kids when the narcissist ex-husband say negative things about me? If they're questioning or they're saying stuff, then tell them, oh, this is what actually happened. If they're not, then you focus on your growth and your development and don't get triggered. And the reason why you don't want to get triggered is you're just going to push them back to them. So this is why you have to heal first if you're going to help your kids. Have you personally gone through a narcissistic collapse? I wouldn't say so. And I also think that there's less narcissistic collapse out there than what like people are led to believe. How did Narcissus archive all of his photos but 2 after breakup? Another way of like power control so that the next person wouldn't know that he was with someone. There's a lot of different reasons why. How do I know if I'm one? There's 9 diagnostic traits, so you can look up the DSM-5, the 9 traits, all those aspects. We have a PDF you can download off of our website as well, rawmotivations.com. Do you believe narcissist projection comes from a subconscious interject of the victim or more deliberate manipulation like NLP? More dating gurus are teaching NLP. I think it's more of like subconscious as far as like I'm going to project onto you what I'm actually knowing and seeing about myself, if that makes sense. Is it hard to make good friends now since no one is aware nowadays? I would say, yeah, it's harder to make good friends. It's also harder to make good friends because we're in a world of liars. And so there's not a whole lot of people that are willing to be honest and actually own all of their shit. So when you find someone who's honest, it's hard to be able to connect with a world that has a lot of liars in it. If I'm a narcissist, feel my sibling is mirroring me and have combined self-image into her and keep thinking about her. These like went too fast. Who cares? Do you get a life? Steve, you can get a life and you can go bye-bye. There we go. What do you wish people knew about people that had narcissism? That they don't care, and the fastest way for you to heal is actually focus on you. What's the main thing a narcissist does? Power and control over you and lies. Biggest thing the narcissist does is they lie. Lie to everybody else, lie to themselves. Do they ever really love anyone? Not if they're willing to, not unless they're willing to sacrifice their ego. Otherwise, they can't really get to this piece of love. Have you ever tried psychedelics? I have not. That door has actually been closed for me. Maybe eventually be open, but particular doors in that aspect have been closed. Our narcissist is hyper-vigilant, hyper-focused on needing to feel wanted. Yeah, that's a big piece oftentimes. You get that with more anxious narcissists. How do you know if someone is narcissist avoidant attachment? I don't really care. What I care about is how they're actually treating you. And you need to identify that because that matters more than the label. Husband never shows so-called little niece parents. All of his, I don't know where we're going with that. How should I get around my fiance's mother or break her narcissistic spirit towards us when we both feel this way? Feel what way? I'd say you need to have healthy boundaries. And if that person's not willing to respect them, then you need to move forward. Why did you decide to get treatment, help other people? 1, because I realized that I was a liar. And 2, I realized that the results I had in my life were because of me. So none of my results in my life were going to change unless I changed. What ice cream do we have? Oh, dang it. I haven't ate my cereal. That's actually what I want. Oh, is there any? Oh, you can look. Pull it up on your phone. There was one I saw earlier. How can I tell if the narcissist they're with is actually working on themselves? Honesty, vulnerability, and consistent change. Can a narcissist turn you into a narcissist? No, but you can pick up narcissistic fleas. You need a flea bath. Narcissistic collapse, I don't believe is something either. It's about narcissists, yeah. When actions don't match words, 100%. Do you leave your abusive parents if you cannot handle abuse anymore? Yeah, 100%. Were you married? If so, did your wife notice when? Yes, I was married and she noticed right away because I was an abusive asshole from wedding night on.
You were married.
What?
You were married.
They asked if I was married.
Like, I didn't know if it was like if they thought that you weren't married still.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. Can you feel empathy? It's a piece that I've been working on cognitively, 100%. Emotionally, that's still in the works, but it's getting more. How would you say feeling like joy, happiness differ from narcissists compared to normal people? Narcissists are in pursuit of happiness and they can't tap into joy. And the reason why they can't tap into joy, is because they're unwilling to express gratitude. Very glad that both of you guys made it through the tornado storm last night. Appreciate it. Is Donald Trump a narcissist in your opinion? Honestly, I don't think he's a diagnosed narcissist. I don't really think that. I think everybody just wants to project things onto him. Why does my narcissistic boyfriend get so upset and threaten to leave when my mom witnesses his bad behavior towards me? Because at that point, he's trying to be able to run from the fact that he's doing that. Are they all lies in a state of delusion that they really think they're doing nothing wrong? They have to believe they're doing nothing wrong so they don't feel bad about themselves. Difference between toxic masculinity versus a narcissist. Define toxic masculinity. Like that definition is so out there. Like we need to know. We need to have like a definition. Like some people think like toxic, yeah. When you have a definition of that, to be able to know exactly, if you want to define that, we can talk about that. But otherwise,
What is
I'm
your
not.
definition?
Yeah, my wife's laughing at you. Like, well, not at you, but just the definition. Does it drive them crazy when they're not the center of attention? Yeah, that's a big piece of it. Why is there often a connection between empaths and narcissists? What do narcissists see in empaths? Narcissists see vulnerable people that have no boundaries and don't know who they are, so as a result, they're going to continue using and abuse. It just happens that the majority of the time it is empaths because those people are more feeling oftentimes than they are healthy boundaries and actually a healthy view of themselves. How hard is it for you to confront your own narcissism and get better? Very hard. It's always a growth and a piece that it takes to just grow and develop. He lied, took money, I divorced him, and now he's really making the split hard. He's doing the bare minimum for the kids. Do you think he'll ever step up as a father? No, I don't. Are you covert? Yes, I'd be more of the covert. Did you have to repair your kids if you have them? Yes, that would be part of the process. At that time, when we separated, Sophia was what? 1, 2? So like there's a piece of that inside of that. Healthy masculinity, provider, protector versus toxic masculinity, fake alpha. So a fake alpha would be very much like narcissistic. Can a therapist be a narcissist? Yeah, 100%. There's a lot of therapists that are narcissists. Do people like this do better with other selfish people? No, not necessarily. I was able to use it against my partner by gatekeeping and not taking his mask off. Okay. Do you think or believe that once the kids grow up, do you think that they will be dealing with narcissistic abuse too? 100%. They'll be dealing with it from that person, and that they'll eventually like treat them just the same way. Do you suggest any books with healing as a narcissist? Healing as a narcissist. So like if you're a narcissist, healing. One of the books that helped me was Daring Greatly by Brene Brown, which was talking through shame. I didn't recognize and realize that shame was a part of my life. So that was a pivotal piece in my life. Will narcissists live off you instead of working and blaming on other things? Yeah, 100%. How to enable with enablers? Yeah, cut them out of your life. Like if they're enabling the narcissist, it's not really going to help. Have you recovered? I would say I'm on that journey, and the pieces that I used to do, I no longer do. Darren Gately, yeah. How can I make friends as a recovering narcissist? Reach out. Would love to talk to you and love to connect you with a group of guys that are actually working on being honest and showing up. That's massive. Why would a narcissist sociopath say he has a personality disorder to someone they're just starting to date and then add that would be the last time that they would talk about it? Probably just to like precondition and make them feel better of like, oh, like I'm toxic, but I'm not going to bring it up anymore. And then it just kind of sets the frame and they're like, he doesn't seem toxic. It's a great way to be able to just like be honest, quote unquote, but then also just continue in the relationship. Do narcissists belittle others? Yeah, 100%. Why does he scream at me and to get the fuck out and then beg me to come back when I go? Because he actually wants you to leave, but he wants to be the good guy and bring you back every single time. Can you give an example of being honest in this situation? What situation? Sorry. My narcissistic sibling. Porn addiction is not a trait of narcissism. A lot of times it just slides under addiction because a lot of narcissists have addictive tendencies. Can narcissists convince to heal? Can you convince narcissists to heal? No. How do you get better at gratitude when you're used to people doing things for you to get leverage on controlling you? Is trust needed for gratitude to work? Halfway. I would say yes to a certain extent, but like you can experience gratitude without just having like trust, because you can have gratitude for you. You can have gratitude for what's going on in your life. You can have gratitude for like all different types of things. Are you married? If so, how? She left for a good period of time while she healed and while I actually worked on myself. Can I start watching movies? Am I narcissistic? That has nothing to do with narcissism. No, do childhood make a narcissist? Yes. My narcissist is always talking about money. He's an alpha male who is so annoying. Why do they want to get in the way of your inner work? Because if you actually heal, then you'll leave because you wouldn't be with a toxic person. Is a form of projection getting in the car and the narcissist interrogate questions on how to seek a reaction and stonewall you? I wouldn't necessarily call it projection, but yeah, a lot of times we'll see that in like narcissistic aspect. I'd be more of a covert narcissist. Tips in dealing with a narcissist parent who wants to influence your career path. Be respectful, but not letting them tell you what to do. Yeah, 100%. Be respectful. Don't let them tell what to do. And if they cannot listen that or keep crossing the line, then you might need to start setting up some heavier boundaries. If you're with a narcissist and you start acting like them, sometimes you can. The narcissistic flees. A lot of times that'll be a piece of it. You explain the black and white thinking as a narcissist is either all good or all bad. So as soon as you switch into the all bad, they're like, well, forget you. I'll move on to the next person, or I'll cheat on you. Because at that point, they've dropped you off at the pedestal, and you no longer matter, or you no longer connect in one sense. They'll also do it inside of arguments, though. They'd be all right, all wrong. Like, there's a lot of different aspects of that. Would you consider them to be childish? Yeah, 100%. My narcissist teacher never praised me when someone stole my answer and answered, you praise them. What kind of narcissist are you? Covert. Can you fully get rid of it if you start early? I think it's possible for a person to be able to transform who they are, but they have to be willing to be honest. If they're not willing to be honest, then nothing's actually going to change. What makes a covert narcissist come back? You being a pushover and letting them come back. Like, you have to be able to break the trauma bond and actually set up healthy boundaries so they don't come back. Otherwise, they're going to continue to come back using and abusing you. How do you stop narcissism in childhood? With the kids, providing an emotionally safe place and helping them process shame and guilt. How quickly can you personally identify one in the wild since you've worked on yourself? Pretty quickly. Is a narcissist their own fault or typically a fault on how they've been treated? It's their own fault for the choices that they're making now. Why is the narcissist take you away from your family? Because if he isolates you from your family, then he has full control over you. Can they actually impact a person positively if they're willing to not do the toxic, abusive traits? Yeah. As a covert narcissist, have you experienced abuse from other people, pushed over, or used for being a people pleaser? Have you experienced abuse from other people? The only stuff I would ever go along the lines of, like, I experienced some abuse from other people was a girl that I was with that had BPD. That really kind of messed up a bunch of stuff. I've been working with a narcissist for 8 years. I'm trying to go no contact. Having a difficult time. I thought I was put in his life to help him by loving him unconditionally, but I can't endure it. That's because you weren't put in his life to get unconditionally abused. Unconditional love does not mean unconditional abuse. So you need to actually get free, move forward inside of your healing process, break the trauma bond. If you don't break the trauma bond, you'll continue to be stuck. So we'd love to be able to help you with that. You can go to rawmotivations.com. What I focus on is helping women actually break the trauma bonds so they can get out of the confusion, the chaos, and feeling crazy. And they can ultimately find their confidence, their certainty, and clarity about the situation. Why do they need to be seen as the good guy to others and behave the opposite in private? It's all an image thing. If they feel like they look that way to certain people, then they can justify in their mind that that's who they are when they actually aren't. Did you get some empathy from treatment? Yes, but also from the process I use of stacking, which is mental rewiring and reframing. That's what we teach everybody as well. What are some reasonable boundaries in attempting to co-parent with narcissism since no contact is not an option? Using the BIF method, brief, informative, friendly, and firm as a communication way. Boundaries as far as how you see him, how you interact with him, how you drop the kids off, how you communicate, what venue you communicate in, sticking to the parenting agreement. All those different things can have different boundaries that you can stick to really, really tight. What are your thoughts about calling him out to everyone now that you're broken up over a year and do not talk to each other? For what point? How does that actually help you heal and grow and change yourself? If anything, it makes you obsessed longer because then you're curious, when I do this, what's the aftermath? You focus so much on him, you actually don't heal you. Do narcissists hear voices? No, I wouldn't say so. I don't know if you can answer this, but if possibly successfully expose a narcissistic mother to an adult scapegoat son, as in, will he be able to hear it so that he can be helped? Probably not. That's a really, really hard sell. That's harder than convincing him that he is a narcissist, they have narcissism. How to be in a healthy relationship after years of toxicity. Heal yourself, break the trauma bond, eradicate the triggers, learn how to be able to process the emotion triggers in a healthy way. It's all of what we teach inside of our 30-day challenge called Survivor to Thriver. You can access that from rawmotivations.com. Does this live save? Yeah, we'll post this once we're done. I have autism, so I already struggled with emotions over my narcissistic had me so confused that I can't even cry or feel about anything. So Diana, we need to be able to help you actually process the emotions you're feeling. And being able to do this sometimes can take a little bit. But if we can work on that and break down the story you're telling yourself, help you actually stop and figure out, okay, what are the facts? How am I actually feeling about this? What's actually going on? There's a way to be able to help you actually engage with that. How to know if narcissist is faking vulnerability to create fake bonding. Is it present vulnerability or past vulnerability? Past vulnerability is typically used to be able to fake it. Do you think there's a spiritual component to narcissism? Yes and no. I don't think it's like demons, if that's where we're going. When I talk emotions and realness, they're like deer in headlights. I like to watch them squirm. Yeah, but when are you going to heal? Did you start changing because your partner got stronger? No. Are some actually born narcissists? I think born with tendencies, but I don't think they're come out the womb being narcissists. Dude is lying to you right now. Just a thought. Maybe you don't know what you're talking about. But if you still think that I'm lying, just watch my other content, see if it doesn't check out. Is a narcissist higher in certain cultures than others? I could say yeah. There might be different cultures. I wouldn't know exactly all the different pieces. How can people stop supporting them indirectly? Set healthy boundaries, know who you are, and don't let someone sideline you from that. Did they know and mean to hurt others, even their children? So here's the big question. If they didn't know and didn't mean to hurt them, then why do they keep doing it? Okay, just a thought. If you're good, then you can also get blocked because I don't need your negativity on here. How do I recognize and avoid their triggers? Heal yourself. Focus on your boundaries. Are cheated on me and then married her. My son has to go to his house every other week. I hate it. What can I do? So you can't really like keep your son from, especially if there's like a custody agreement, things like that. The biggest thing that you can do is provide a safe space for your kids so that when they're with you, they're able to actually deal with their emotions and process stuff and be supported, because they're not going to get that in the other relationship. You're welcome. Yeah, no, thank you. Appreciate it. I know my contact is starting to like act up. That, and I want to get off so I can eat my bowl of cereal because I didn't have my bowl of cereal tonight. Gosh, if you guys like resonate with what I'm talking about, like would really, really encourage you just to go to rawmotivations.com. There's two different ways on our website that you can connect with me. One is you can click on the one-on-ones and you can just watch a video, and just watch a video to see if it resonates with you. I talk through a couple of mistakes that you make in being in a narcissistic relationship and things that you might have already done to try to fix them or try to heal yourself. And inside of that, there's an option where you can fill out an application and we can sit down and have a talk. We'll just jump on a Zoom call and we'll see where you're at, how I can actually help. If you're at the place where you're like, hey, I resonate with your content and I think more of this in a structured way would actually help me, then would love to have you go to rawmotivations.com. There's a 30-day challenge we have on there called Survivor to Thriver. And inside of that is trying to help people go from a victim and a survivor to thriving, like growing and developing who they actually are. But the hard piece is we have to help you break the trauma bond, eradicate the triggers, and actually learn how to heal yourself versus being even codependent on anyone else. So in that aspect, we'd love to be able to help you. You can access both of those options. If you're listening to this and you're a narcissistic male, or you're a guy that, hey, I'm a guy that's cheated, that's lied, that's abused, you can go to Raw Motivations. There's one-on-ones for guys there as well, because I work with men that are narcissistic and I work with women who have been stuck in narcissistic relationships. I'm trying to be able to heal them and grow and develop in all aspects. So if this resonates with you all today, we'd love to be able to help you out with that. Just go to rawmotivations.com. We'll attach some links to this video once it posts and be able to just help you move forward however we can. So are we all narcissists? No. People are all not narcissists. That's for sure. That's a generalization that a lot of times people want to be like, a lot of times narcissists will use that, being like, well, aren't we all narcissists? No, that's just you trying to get off the hook of being abusive. Ask anything. Why is all of your face hair one length? Why not actually fade your face hair like an alpha? Christian, how about you just go find another channel to troll on? When I set boundaries, I'm told them being unloving. How do I counteract that? You don't. Because he's going to tell you that you're being unloving because he doesn't like the limits that you're imposing. So do you just have boundaries for you? And those boundaries for you mean you live your life how you want to live it. Be looking over your videos. Appreciate it. Any advice how to detach from the narcissist? Detaching. So Christian, the cool thing is I can just block you and then you go bye-bye. And then you can't say anything else toxic or stupid on here. How can I detach? You have to break the trauma bond. If you don't actually rewire your mindset, you'll stay stuck. Have you worked with men stuck in a narcissistic type controlling relationship with their wife? I don't. And the reason why I don't is any of the guys I've tried to partner with and work with that, it's never worked out. So I normally recommend them to someone else that works with those kind of guys. How do you deal with people saying they're unable to deal with people nicely? Tell them to grow up. Anyways, we're wrapping up for the night. If I can help you with any of these things that we're talking through, if any of this resonates with you inside the place of healing, growth, and development, my goal is to try to bring awareness to narcissistic abuse and also help you heal from the trauma bond. So inside of this, would love to be able to help you move forward. You can go to rawmotivations.com. That's the best way to just be able to contact me and be able to work through some of this. So if you haven't had a chance to be able to do this, then just check it out, rawmotivations.com. I'd love to be able to help you move forward today. So y'all have a blessed and a wonderful evening. We'll go ahead and wrap up for the night. But inside of rawmotivation.com, there's a 30-day challenge, which is Survivor to Thriver. You can jump right in, jump on group coaching calls, and get on our Empower Hour that we have for women that are just connecting with other women, healing, growing, developing. They had a really amazing and a powerful one tonight. Do narcissists deny the physical abuse? Yeah, a lot of times they will. Again, they don't want to admit that they're wrong. And inside of rawmotivations.com, if you're like, hey, you want to talk to me, or you want to sit down, or you want to partner together inside of your healing journey, you can go to rawmotivations.com, click on the one-on-ones, and just listen to the video. There's a video there for the gals that have been in a toxic relationship, and there's a video there for the guys who've been the narcissist or the abuser. So y'all have a blessed and wonderful night, and we will see y'all next time. Thanks so much for all the great questions and for the engagement. And for some of the toxic weirdos that were on here just putting in hateful comments. Thanks for letting me block you. That was always fun too. But yeah, that's it. Y'all have a blessed and wonderful night, and we'll see y'all next time. If y'all need any help with this, go to rawmotivations.com.